Hi, so I'm Neil Hermes, and today I'm at the Molonglo Gorge Nature Reserve. Now, the Molonglo Gorge Nature Reserve is just to the east of the main part of Canberra, adjacent to Queanbeyan. It sits on the Molonglo River. Now, the Molonglo River is the river that runs down into Canberra and has been dammed to make Lake Burley Griffin. But here, the Molonglo River runs through a small gorge. And this gorge has got a fabulous area of woodland, even some kilometres pine, and it's one of the really high picks for a birdwatching location close to Canberra. I've often been here over the years, and there's all sorts of species you can see here. I just heard a bronze-winged cuckoo calling. There's gangangs calling at the moment. A lot of dry woodland birds, and with that rocky scarp country, for example, with the kilometres pine, you could end up with a whole range of dry sclerophyll forest type birds in this reserve. Fabulous place. There's a walk that goes from, there's a main picnic ground that's got a toilet. You can park your car there, and there's a 1 hour walk that you can do up the gorge. The gorge is not, like the Grand Canyon. It's not an enormous thing, but it's a pretty little gorge, and there's this nice walk that goes up along the river. It'll take about an hour to go up and back, and as I say, there's Barbeque Facilities and toilets at the car park. A great spot close to Canberra, close to Queanbeyan, just off the Sutton Road, and a great place for a morning's bird watch, particularly if you want to be seeing things like gangang cockatoos, which I just heard. So yeah, check out the Molonglo Gorge. Okay, here I am in Molonglo Gorge, and I've just done the walk. The walk comes down through the gorge here. The gorge is off to my left, and the river is just down here below the car park. It's the Molonglo River, and the river actually goes up through the gorge, and beside the river is the railway line that connects Canberra to Sydney. So the gorge has a railway line travelling down through it, and you may actually see a train passing if you're walking along in the gorge here. Not that often. I think there's only a couple of trains a day between Sydney and Canberra, but there is a train line that runs down through the gorge. What I did see when I did the little walk up there just a moment ago was some honeyeaters, and of course this site is fabulous for honeyeaters. I was checking out the eBird site, and there's over 100 species of birds generally been recorded here, but over a dozen species of honeyeaters in this particular gorge. And you get the typical things like white napes and brown headeds, but there's also species like Fuscous Honeyeaters, and occasionally Yellow-tufted Honeyeaters turn up here in this gorge as well. So a great spot for honeyeaters depending on the time of the year and the time of flowering. So the little walk along the gorge is a great spot for species like honeyeaters and a lot of the other dry country birds. So Molonglo Gorge is fantastic for bird watching, and it has an interesting geological history, of course. 15 million years ago, there was an uplift. This range off to my right here lifted up, the Cullen Range. And the Cullen Range runs north-south to this side of Queanbeyan and out towards Bungendore. And as it rose, it blocked the Molonglo River, and the Molonglo River found its way through the range 15 million years ago and created the gorge. The gorge has got very shallow, steep sides, and it's perfect for two sets of vegetation, which are a little unusual in the Canberra district. You've got a bull oak, the casuarina bull oak formations, and that can be really useful for many honeyeaters and potentially for some parrots. And you've also got the black Cypress pine, a beautiful native pine tree which grows on these shallow, steep slopes. Again, potentially with a range of rare birds could appear in those areas. And then down on this flat area where I'm standing at the moment, we have the typical Bridgesiana, the eucalyptus gums, the argyle apples in the sort of open woodland formation. So a nice range of different sorts of vegetation types, as well as the thick vegetation and wattles, etc., that grow up the gorge itself. So a good range of different sorts of habitats across this interesting geological formation. So if you're thinking of coming to the Molonglo Gorge, it's got some really good facilities. You can actually access the gorge from two different spots, from Sutton Road, which is just out of Queanbeyan, and you come in on a mainly sealed road into a large car park. There's toilet blocks, there's barbecues, there's picnic areas, and it's all on the edge of the river, which is rather nice. You can also access the reserve off the King's Highway. There's a road that comes in through Cowan Forest, and that gets you to the top of the walking trail. So you can do the walking trail sort of up and back from either end, which is convenient. So the amenity and the facilities here are good, and it gives you great access to the great bird watching spots here at Molonglo Gorge. So come to Molonglo Gorge and check it out.